welcome to another lesson. Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian, who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph, so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord had gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. He entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though he spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. One day he went into the house to attend his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. So what did he just ran out the house bare? That's how much he was refusing, because it would be unlawful to the Lord. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, he called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." False accusation. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Then he told him his story. That Hebrew slave he brought to us came to make a sport of me, but as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in his eyes of the prison warden, so that the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. Dude, how awesome is that? The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. Sorry, I bit my lip. Now that's insane. That's awesome. Even the judge knows the Lord is with him and puts him in charge of the entire prison, even though he's in the prison with them. The cupbearer and the baker. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker, the king of Egypt, offended their master. The king of Egypt, the Pharaoh, was angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer, the custody, and the house of the captain, the guard, the same prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker, were being held in prison. Had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked the Pharaoh officials who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why do you look so sad today?" "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interpret them." Then Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream and said to him, "This is my dream. I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and squeezed them into the Pharaoh's cup and put the cup in his hand." "This is what it means," Joseph said to them. "The 3 branches are the 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position. And you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, as he used to do when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon." When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head. "This is what it means," Joseph said. "The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh." Now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer in his position, so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he impaled the chief baker, so as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. Pharaoh's dreams. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the riverbank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again, and he had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, and growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads of grain sprouted. Then, thin and scorched by the east wind, the thin heads of the grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and all the wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. The chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings." Pharaoh was once angry with his servants, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream the same night. The dream had a meaning of its own. The young Hebrew was with us, the servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man an interpretation of his dream. And things turned out exactly as he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was impaled. So Pharaoh sent out. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he said quickly, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh. But God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Well, the Pharaoh said to Joseph, the bank of the Nile. What Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny, and they were very ugly and lean. And I had never seen such ugly cows in the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. So looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprouted, withered, and thin, and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years. The 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years. So are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. But they are 7 years of famine. It is that I said to Pharaoh, God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming through the land of Egypt, but the 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten. Dance in Egypt. Then all the what was I reading? Then the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage in the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered. Because the famine that follows it will be so severe, the reason the dream was given to Pharaoh and the 2 forms of that matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man, and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years, an abundance. They should collect all the food of these years that are coming to store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh, to be kept in the cities for food. This food should be held and reserved for the country, to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that country may not be ruined by the famine. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man? One in whom the spirit of whom is the spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all of this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne I will be greater than you." Joseph in charge of Egypt. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes and fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. Oh, so they had gold chains back then? Oh, that's awesome. I never knew that. Then they had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. And the people shouted before him, "Make way!" Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. This reminds me of Aladdin. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am the Pharaoh, but with your word, no one will lift their hand or foot in all Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath-Paneah, and gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphars, priest of On, to be his wife. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food and produced those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored huge quantities of grain. Like the sand of the sea, it was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphars, priest of On. Joseph named the firstborn Manasseh, and said, "It is because God had made me forget all of my trouble and all my father's household." The second son came, Ephraim, and said, "It is because God had made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. But as soon as Joseph said, "There is a famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food." When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for the food. Then Pharaoh told all the Egyptians, "Go to Egypt and do what he tells you." Then the famine had spread over the whole country. Joseph opened the store gates and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt. And the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was so severe everywhere. Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. Let's see what time I'm at. I'll do one more. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid harm might come to them. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for there was a famine in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him, with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, "to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "The servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them. "You have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers, as sons of one man who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Father Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you, you are spies." So just because Joseph got power and everything, he's now changing a little bit. And this is how you will be tested. As surely as the Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother, and rest will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested. So see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then surely, as Pharaoh lives, you are spies. And then put them in custody for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, "Do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you are an honest man, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back. For your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, that you may not die." This they proceeded to do. So they said to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come on us." Reuben said, why didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy?" But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood. They did not realize Joseph could not understand them, since he was using an interpreter. He turned away from them, and he began to weep, but then came back and spoke to them again. He had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on the donkeys and left. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to feed for his donkey, and saw the silver in the mouth of his sack. "My silver has been turned," he said to his brothers. "Here it is in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other, trembling, and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to their father Jacob and the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them and said, "The man who was lord over the land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land. But we said to them, 'We are honest men. We are not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father, one who is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan. Then the man who is Lord over the land said to us, This is how I will know whether you are an honest man. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for your starving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land. As they were emptying their sacks, there in each man's sack was a pouch of silver. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened. Their father Jacob said to them, You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me. Then Reuben said to his father, You may put both of my sons to death, if I do not bring him back to you. I entrust him to take care, and I will bring him back. But Jacob said, My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey that you are taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow. Alright, I'm gonna leave it off there. So that was Joseph being appointed as the owner of the land. He's the one that watches over the land of Egypt, appointed by the Pharaoh. The second journey to Egypt, we're going to get to that. Anyway, a few things have been upgraded, so I'm going to get to that real quick. So we'll get to this tomorrow. I gotta show what's been going on. Okay. There's my bike. And I got a new sign. That's what I've been working on. Anyways, I'll see y'all in the next video.